Fire, 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 fire.
Yuck! I freaking hate women.
Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
I think it's canon that R2-D2 is a lesbian.
R2-D2 is a lesbian? I'm sorry, what? R2-D2 is the little white and blue one, right? Yeah, it's a fucking robot that goes lesbian bot. Yeah, he just goes yeah, the little trash can. When I was a kid, I thought he was so cute.
I wish there were such a thing as spaceships. Then I could use one to get me off this frickin' planet.
Me too, man, me too.
Hi, my name is Sydney, welcome back to hell. And as per usual, before we launch in, today's video is sponsored by MyHeritage, which I actually love. And of course,
I don't
you
want to
guys
know
know
my
the drill
heritage.
by me and my little tea company, Lions Tea Exchange. And in case you missed it in my last video, in light of the fact that I have just had a birthday and have officially hit the wall, I'd like to celebrate by giving you pretty
What,
people
she's 30
10%
now?
off store-wide. I've added some new bundles to the site as well, but as you guys know by now,
Wow,
I've worked very
I
hard
love
to create something that
T-Chat.
feels like a little gift to yourself that also tastes really, really good.
Wow.
So use code THEWALL for 10% off. Buy yourself a box. I will pop the link in the description. So
That's
over the
actually
last
pretty
number
good.
of weeks, I have been quietly watching from the sidelines the entire internet meltdown over the new Star Wars show, The Acolyte. And honestly, it's not
hate
really
that
all that
shit.
hard to understand why. Somehow, the show has managed to include references to non-binaries and they-thems.
What's that? That's Basil. Is he or they with us?
That's how real people talk, chat, for sure.
This is so clearly so Star Wars. Did you guys not know that Chewbacca's actually a furry and part of the LGBT community? In a love triangle with Yoda and all of the Ewoks. And the lead actress, Amanda Stenberg, also a non-binary they-them, called everyone racist and bigots in a rap for not liking her show.
And ironically, her dad is a big white guy who is a director or an executive. Ironically. Yeah, rich, obviously. I mean, I don't have to say rich if he's like a freaking Hollywood executive, but yes.
Leave you guys alone with the entertainment industry for 5 minutes, and this is what I come back to. Stenberg also managed to copyright claim people on YouTube for using tiny snippets of her rap. Notably,
Oh, of course. I mean, the Olympics did that too for that breakdancing woman. Yeah, of course. Rich Jewish Hollywood executive. Yeah. And then she has the gall to call everyone racist. Yeah.
the Side Scrollers podcast, who used a section of her video in their video. I actually
And then look at how tiny the section is too. Like,
We
what?
asked them about this, and they said that they were surprised she was able to place her song in the YouTube copyright system, clearly with the knowledge that people would be reacting to it on YouTube. So yeah, there's that. Disney/Star Wars is clearly sending their best. But seriously, for those of you who have been following this drama, it really seems like The Acolyte is yet another attempt by Disney to force corporate feminism down everybody's throats. Undoing well-understood Star Wars themes, undermining male characters, and
The power of one, the power of many.
ensuring all female characters are strong and flawless.
So my character, you know, she's a powerful leader. She's a powerful leader. Yes.
Yes, queen,
In a very
pop
woman-centered world, which I was very excited to kind of be in that, because I feel like Star Wars is very like patriarchal, so it was kind of cool to have like this sort of woman-centered figure.
And it genuinely
Hold on. Wasn't like Padme like unironically a really big part of the Star Wars, like in the franchise, man. Like, I remember seeing her and I was like, damn, she seems like a powerful woman when I was a kid. Yeah, and before her, Princess Leia, exactly. To say nothing of Leia. No, I understand. I'm just saying, like, before that, there was Leia, but this one was the one before this one. Elected Queen of Naboo. Exactly. And she had a beautiful dress, and they don't sexualize her in the dress at all. Even her, like, outfit when she's running around. Yeah, she's her midriff, and that's about it, really. Like, what are we doing here, man?
Genuinely seems like not a single actor or actress in The Acolyte, and
No, not Leia, not Leia. I'm talking about Padme.
probably honestly in the rest of their shows and films, didn't even understand what Star Wars and its legacy is all about. With most of the actresses in particular parroting talking points around feminism and woman power and diversity in a world dominated by men.
I think that when it comes to the world of fantasy and sci-fi in general, it hasn't felt like a safe space always for people of color. And it's been a world that I've always deeply loved and been in.
Look, I'm not the biggest sci-fi nerd or like science fantasy setting, but I have heard good things about, what was that game? God damn it. What's that really famous game? The role-playing one, the shooter. Ugh. Like, they had a very diverse cast. You guys know what I'm talking. Mass Effect! Mass Effect! Yes, Mass Effect had a very diverse set of characters in it. Like, I feel like there's a lot of games out there like that. Fallout, Concord, yeah, Concord is definitely one for sure. Bro, no, seriously, Mass Effect had amazingly diverse characters. I watched my brother play it. I never played it myself, but Mass Effect characters weren't token stereotypes. Yeah, I guess you need to have complete tokenism and stereotypes included in your game in order to satisfy these people.
Invested in. So to be in any way, shape, or form a part of the wave that is ushering in inclusion and safety for Black nerds, it's.
Black nerds aren't safe in video games? Hello? Yo, any black nerds in chat? Do you feel safe in video games or not? Weird take? Dude, I don't even know what to say!
It's like, it's my dream come true.
But really, who could blame them, given that the women at the top who are driving these changes don't even understand the franchise themselves, preferring instead to alienate Star Wars' male fanbase, while at the same time creating unrealistic, unlikable, female-centric entertainment. Disney has been at this game for quite a while.
Oh my god, the Snow White actress got so much shit for this. Oh my god, dude.
With most of its princess remakes leaning heavily into these themes, and many of the Marvel shows and films repeatedly giving us Mary Sue.
Yep, the She-Hulk lawyer. That was really, really great.
As characters. Yeah. But Star Wars is, perhaps, experiencing the most egregious push when it comes to the attack of feminism and insufferable political messaging. And it's made worse by the fact that, it seems, many people behind these horrible changes are women, which is just, like, so embarrassing for all of us. And I'm not gonna lie, seeing all of the absolutely insane comments made by women who are performing in The Acolyte really made me want to talk about this. So that's what we're going to talk about today. The women destroying Star Wars, why they're doing it, and how we can get this nonsense to stop.
It's because they include characters that are just all about girl bossing and showing absolutely no weakness, because weakness is bad in Hollywood. For a woman to be weak and developing character is bad. You can't have a woman that's maybe like a little bit afraid at the start, like, you know, like war breaks out or something, and then she's like afraid. She's like, and then she's like, okay, I gotta push through. No, I must learn. A really good example of that is what is it called? Narnia, the first movie, where it's the little girl and her sister. I forget their names, Lucy or Susie. And at first they're really, really afraid because it's like they're paralleling the war with the war with Aslan being kind of similar to the war that they're trying to escape in real life. And they eventually develop bravery and they're kids and they're fighting. But you can't have that. Aslan? I said Aslan! Not Aslan. Legally Blonde? I never watched that. No, not S-Fan! Oh my god, you guys are done.
Just kidding, I don't have an answer to that. And of course, all of my regular disclaimers. I'm not gonna get to everything in this video, even though I have tried to include as much as I can. And actually, as I was editing this, I was finding more things I wanted to add, but I just was like, we don't have time for this. But before you once again board my hell gondola and together we cry our salty tears of sadness to fill this lake of sadness on which we are floating, let's hear from today's sponsor, MyHeritage. Understanding your roots is important. The family kind, not the tree kind. You can—
No thank you, I don't want to.
Learn about yourself and your family, like who may have been a gunslinger or a serial killer. Sydney, no. And because I have always wanted to learn more about my history, because my family is from all over Europe, I was really excited to partner with MyHeritage to find out more about my family tree. With MyHeritage, I've been able to trace my family back to the 1600s on my dad's side. This, for example, is my great-great-great-great-grandfather. What a looker. MyHeritage actually lets you upload images like this and enhance them,
I thought that said colonize. I was like, what the hell?
Colorize them, or even animate them, which is like so unbelievably cool.
Ew! AI animation?
Cool. I've also been able to correct some less understood things on my mother's side, like the actual maiden name of her grandmother. And all of this was actually reasonably easy to do because MyHeritage is home to over 19 billion historical documents from all over the world that help you find records of your family members.
Wow.
Like this census here for my grandma, who may or may not have lied about her age, or this other census where my grandfather's name is mysteriously spelled with a V instead of a B. MyHeritage also has a feature called Instant Discoveries, where, with a handful of known family members, it will start piecing together your family tree for you. So if you too want to learn more about—
Do you have to take a DNA test to do this shit or not?
Your roots, then click the link in the description or scan the QR code on screen to start your MyHeritage 14-day free trial. In 2012, shortly after Disney purchased the media property Star Wars, the film's creator George Lucas sat down with the new president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy. In the interview, Lucas laid out what
I don't know why, but this reminds me of the South Park episode. I think they were parodying this, weren't they? Yeah, like, put a trick in there, make it lame and gay. I think they were!
Kennedy. In the interview, Lucas laid out what he believed was the nature of Star Wars, the underlying message. He expressed that it revolves around the dangers of selfishness and the transformation of democracies into dictatorships, explaining that people can and will misuse their freedom, leading to the rise of those who exploit power to strip away liberties.
Run your life in a very selfish way, and you think you're doing good when you're actually not. And at the same time, it's you know, how do democracies turn back into dictatorships? Why do people who have the power to have the freedom and everything turn it over to somebody who's going to take it all away from them? It's happened through history forever and ever, and all Star Wars is a way of updating that idea to say, watch out, because there are people out there who don't play by the rules, and if you're not careful, you're going to lose all your freedom. And at the same time, those people who may not play by the rules because they're selfish and greedy turn themselves into evil people who don't care about other people.
How very apt. Very on the nose. He's describing exactly what's going on here, huh?
There you go. The essence
Playing
of Star
out
Wars.
today.
Kennedy also said that the main focus going forward was to protect the characters and make sure that they continue to live the way that Lucas created them.
The main thing is to protect these characters, make sure that they still continue to live in the way that you created them, and that the universe of Star Wars continues to grow.
The sad but probably
Oh my god. Were people so pissed at this because they like retconned and like changed lore that's been around for like 30, 40 years? Like they literally retconned shit.
not terribly surprising reality is that this didn't happen at all, both from the perspective of following Lucas's original dream for the franchise and staying true to its underlying values and message, and protecting the characters and allowing them to live as Lucas intended. Sadder still is that in an interview from 2015, George Lucas expressed that even if he wanted to be involved in the direction of Star Wars, the people who had taken it over didn't want him there and didn't want his direction.
All about
The guy, the grandfather who made this a reality, the guy that wrote all the lore, the writing, the thought out universe, they didn't want him there. Isn't that just disgusting? That reminds me of like the people talking about Game of Thrones and how George Lucas was really upset with how it went because they wouldn't listen to him. They wouldn't say, hey, can we stop here and then maybe pick up later? They said no. It's so sad, bro.
generations, and it's about, you know, the issues of fathers and sons and grandfathers, and it's a family soap opera.
No, that's patriarchal. That's what she meant! George R. R. Martin, sorry. Like, my brain is kind of cooked. I meant to say George R. R. Martin. And the actors, Peter Dinklage also said that he doesn't watch House of Dragons because he said it's way too deviated from the original source material, in his opinion. Yeah, still a George. No, I just misspoke. I literally thought I said George R. R. Martin. I said the other thing. It's so strange and sad, man.
I mean, ultimately, we call it space opera, but people don't realize it's actually a soap opera. Yeah. And it's all about family problems and that. It's not about spaceships.
That's what she said. It was patriarchal, man. I mean, in fairness, Lucas to this day stands by Jar Jar Binks. Look, you can be really wrong about some stuff, man. You guys disagree with me all the time.
So they decided they didn't want to use those stories. They decided they were going to go do their own thing, and so I decided, fine. But basically, I'm not going to try to... They weren't that keen to have me involved anyway, but at the same time I said, I'm not going to... If I get in there, I'm just going to cause trouble, because they're not going to do what I want them to do. So, and I don't have the control to do that anymore, and all I would do is muck everything up.
And despite the fact that he had left them with a huge catalog of material from which to work, Star Wars, under the leadership of Kathleen Kennedy, veered down the road of corporate feminism and mainstream diversity practices.
I watched one Star Wars movie while I was on an airplane. I don't even know which one it was. I think it was this one. I don't know what it's called, chat. Pardon my ignorance. But I remember watching the movie on the airplane, and I thought to myself, why is she so amazing at everything? Why? Why is she so, like, good at, like, using the Force? Why does one of the characters throws a lightsaber off the island? It was just so Mary Suey and weird. Yeah, she's so Luke threw his lightsaber away, and I was like, why? Why did you do that? Like, I don't get it. Mary Sue, I get it. Mary, because her name is Rey, yes.
that are so common today in Hollywood. All of this seemingly kicked off with the
Yes, this is the one I watched. Yep.
2015 film The Force Awakens, an addition to the Star Wars franchise that focused on a female-led story with the character Rey. Right out of the gate, Rey's storyline had many fans shaking their heads.
And again, I remember thinking to myself, I can't blame the actress because the actress never did anything wrong. It was just the writing. There is so many situations where I think to myself, like, I don't think this is the actor's fault. She's not doing a bad job of what she has to do. Yeah, she was just doing her part. She never did anything that was like, not ostentatious. I forget what the word is, but I never thought to myself, oh, this is immersion breaking or she's doing a bad job. It's just the fucking writers that did a bad job.
Some people argued that she didn't have any meaningful character arc and became excellent at many things without any prior knowledge and minimal mentoring and training. Rey was inherently skilled at things that took powerful characters years and years to achieve.
Yeah, like flying the spaceship or figuring out, like, with friggin', oh my god, seeing old Harrison Ford just made me sad, man, bro. I watched this movie and I thought to myself, man, all these characters just, like, they're taking a big fat shit on their fucking legacy, man. Who's the actor that plays, Luke? What's his name? Didn't he get really pissed off, too? That they, like, ruined his character and he had to just sit by and watch it happen? Mark Hamill, that was it. Yes. Yeah, he there was like an interview at the red carpet, and he basically said, "Yeah, they kind of ruined my character, and I'm upset." And I was like, "Damn, he's a clown." Yeah, but like, you can be a clown and still be pissed off about your stuff being ruined. He got mad at fans. Oh, did he? I only saw a little clip of it. He's completely unhinged now? Okay. He's now a Joker. Okay.
Notably Luke Skywalker, and if we can pull someone from these later films, Kylo Ren.
Oh, yeah,
What's interesting is that, even at this time, the feminist-driven agenda was well and truly in place. And if you cast your minds back to the 2015 George Lucas interview that I just referenced, it's even more depressing when you realize that The Force Awakens had been released only a few months earlier. Poor George. Actually, as another aside to this, I found a particularly frustrating video where Kathleen Kennedy is talking about George Lucas like he's died.
There isn't a day that goes by or went by as we were making the movie where we don't talk about George. You know, it is.
Now that's strange, bro.
It's the standard, what would George do?
You can just
imagine they were making Lord of the Rings, you know, that spin-off with Galadriel, and the actors has an interview, he's like, oh yeah. Peter Jackson, gosh, we just talk about him all the time, and he's like, I'm right here, man. What the frick?
Give him a call, Kathleen, but you won't do that because you're a pair of sweaty salad tongues and you pushed him out. Congratulations, you killed a man's dreams. Probably not the first time. But it's not particularly surprising Star Wars was starting to go down this road. Everyone orbiting the project and Lucasfilm had been very open about their messaging objectives. In an interview with Good Morning America, the film's director, J.J. Abrams, said that he hoped to transform the long-running space opera from a boys thing to a female-friendly franchise.
Okay, hold on. But they stopped doing, like, the egregious... Okay, for me, personally, when I saw the Leia thing when I was a kid, with freaking... the fucking villain, what's his name? Aga Booga Nacha Chaka, whatever his name is. Again, I'm really sorry. Yes, Jabba the Hutt, yes. I haven't watched the movies in a long time. I know what I'm talking about, I swear. I swear I know what I'm talking about. You fake nerd. I'm not fake, I swear! But when I saw that scene and she strangled him, I was like, damn, I don't know why they dressed her up like that, but like that was kind of girl bossy. Yeah, you were girl bossy as hell, strangling that ugly freaking monster. You go, girl. I can kind of let them slide, maybe not putting her in a bikini, but then the sequels after that, or the prequels rather, I don't think they had anything like that included in the prequel, sequels, whatever, the ones that came after it, because they didn't do that with Padme. They covered her up and like she had a dress as a princess, and she looked, you know, presentable for being a potential queen.
His comments, which actually landed him in some hot water, leading to many an article from an angry woman shouting that the early Star Wars films were for her too, still acknowledged that Star Wars was always a boys' thing, and that dads could take their sons to it, which honestly, that's pretty freaking true.
Star Wars was always a boys' thing, and you know, a movie that dads could take their sons to, and though that's still very much the case,
I just don't think so. I got shown Star Wars when I was a kid, and I liked it. It was like my favorite movie ever, but I appreciated it. I actually thought it was an amazing like trilogy and then like a 6th movie.
Really hoping this could be a movie that mothers take their daughters to.
Around the same time, Kathleen Kennedy also gave an interview where she said that she's trying to grow the number of women at Lucasfilm and the number of female protagonists, adding that the vast majority of people who worked on The Force Awakens were women.
We are trying to grow in the workforce the number of women in executive positions and in all positions inside the company, and with the
How about we put people in positions that actually do their job correctly instead of it just being women or whatever? Like, why don't we just, you do job good, you give position. If woman does not do job good, then give no position to woman. I know, that's just, isn't that how a job positions should work?
Movies that we're making, and with the protagonists that we're putting in the stories. So I get a huge amount of support with that. But we have 50% of our executive team are women. And 6 out of 8...
Wait, what? How many?
50% of our executive team are women. And 6 out of 8 of the people in my story group are women.
6 out of 8 of the women in the story group are women. So there's 2 men and 6 women. That's kind of interesting, huh?
And I'm sure there's a lot of people that would be surprised that we're making Star Wars movies, and the majority of the people involved in the development of those stories are women.
Don't get me wrong.
You know what's funny? The whole Mary Sue, right? Like how people said that Rey was a Mary Sue. I stopped doing Mary Sue writing when I was a little kid. I used to write like fan fictions and shit and like self-inserts. I stopped doing that when I was like 13, when I realized that it's really bad reading it back when you're doing a self-insert. It's just bad writing. It doesn't feel good. It's boring and it's stupid. Yeah. I feel like these women just never grew out of it. It's just fan fiction for 12-year-olds.
I get women uplifting other women, and actually, I'm all here for that. But what's like the primary motivator of killing merit? Why do you want all these women, Kathleen? You want your cycles to sync up? Now, some...
What?
Some of this absolutely seems to be an overcorrection of sorts to
Cycle
decades
syncing.
of male-led projects in Hollywood and entertainment. After all, it's only been in recent years that female creatives has started taking up more space in the industry, after plenty of women from way back when attested to just how challenging it was to break into the entertainment field and then be taken seriously.
Yep, exactly. For those that don't understand the joke for the cycle syncing, when it's a thing when there's a lot of women that work together or are in the same environment, like say living in the same house, your bodies will sync up their periods. That's the joke. Yeah. Yeah. If it's just Yeah, yeah. It's a thing. Is that true? I actually don't know if that's true or not. Is period syncing a real thing? No, period syncing is not a real thing. Does your period sync with really close friends? Period syncing is not real. I guess it's a myth, but like regardless, I don't know. I don't know, man. I've seen it happen, but I mean, maybe it's not.
Some of the most notable and beloved classics are male-focused, male-orientated movies that strongly appeal to male audiences.
I love sweaty men kicking ass. I love men.
And while I can understand the drive to see more things that appeal to women, more things that involve women, which, you know, like, I'm always here for, you guys—
That's another really good point. What about Kill Bill, the protagonist who's out for revenge that violently murders everyone? Or Clockwork Orange? Like, what is going on, man? Like, what?
guys know that I love a good—
Or is this not Clockwork Orange? I forget who it is. Fifth Element, excuse me. Sorry, not Clockwork Orange. Yeah, Fifth Element.
Good, well-written female lead. I don't think that the way to go about that is by attempting to ham-fist feminism and diversity into that which already exists. But this seems to be one of the central issues with Kathleen Kennedy and her band of female creatives. According to these women, as far as Star Wars goes, there must be more female representation, even if it's—
So we make an entire cult based around women that only has women in it and they hate men. It's just like real life, guys. Totally normal and not cultish.
Doesn't make sense, and even if the audience doesn't like it. Even as far back as 2012, Kathleen Kennedy had literally assembled a female-only group of writers, directors, and showrunners. Some of whom, notably Kiri Hart, Rain Roberts, and Carrie Beck, have held and continue to hold executive roles at Lucasfilm. And each of these women, seemingly from day one, were united with Kathleen Kennedy in her quest to completely reorientate the Star Wars franchise.
Of course they were. They got their queen bee, so to speak.
Whether that was hiring women for specific tasks at the company, writers, directors, other people who do things in this space, or forcing female representation and diversity into every single project. And if you think I'm exaggerating, I'm not. In 2017, the New York Times published an article—
The women who run the Star Wars universe. 2017, that's when it started, huh? Okay. I'm cooked.
Titled The Women Who Run the Star Wars Universe. The article discussed Kiri Hart's female-only story group, explaining that in the early days, they literally sat around and discussed how they wanted to create more female characters. Today, the story group has expanded and added a handful of men, which, I mean, okay, good stuff.
By a handful, they mean 2 people out of 8. That's still a vast majority. If you want to be, why do they make it so obvious that they just don't want to work with men? Like, really, realistically, why can't they go 50-50? When I heard the 50%, I was like, okay, maybe like it's not that bad, surely. And then it's like, oh yeah, we have 6 women and 2 men on the storyboard room. Like, huh?
But their objectives are more or less the same. More women and more diversity. Starting with, for example, the growth of Ahsoka as a story in the franchise. A character who, just by the way, was originally not remotely well received by audiences. It's like there's a theme here. However, the group proceeded forward with her anyway, allowing her to satisfy a desire for another female lead and someone who doesn't look white.
There's something wrong with this character. She looks hot here and she does not look hot here. Yeah, I don't know, man. Am I sexist? Yeah, I don't know.
Because she's orange, I guess. This article also credits this writing group with the diverse characters in The Last Jedi, specifically pointing to Rose Tico, played by Kelly Marie Tran, the first Asian American woman to—
She's 14 in Clone Wars. Chat, I'm sorry, I just don't know. I never watched it.
Star in the saga. Oh my god, our barriers of entry are so low. And for their efforts, this largely female-led writing group was able to pat itself on the back for including more women and more non-white people and more diversity than ever before. But obviously, this feminist forward thinking didn't stop in 2017. If anything, it's only accelerated since then. Not only because we have been saturated with Star Wars content, but what's being churned out looks completely different to Lucas's original vision, and frankly, at least—
That's another thing. That's actually a really good point. We have been absolutely clubbed over the head with Star Wars content. Star Wars used to be such a celebratory thing when like a Star Wars series or a Star Wars movie comes out, like the sequel or the prequel or whatever. They're just clubbing people over the head. All of it's trash. Well, I heard people really like The Mandalorian, but only like the first half or something. I don't remember.
In my opinion, that's a bit of a travesty. That's putting it mildly, of course. This is in fact terrible. Then it makes me sad inside. I can't help feeling bad for this guy because his entire contribution, the entire thing that he brought to the world, has just become one giant womp womp. In April 2023, Kathleen Kennedy said that even more women-led projects were on the horizon, insisting that they don't set out to have women in charge, but it just so happens to go that way. Okay, Kathleen.
Okay, Kathleen. All right.
We believe you. She said, I think we have attracted some really strong women in front of the camera and behind the camera, and that's been thrilling. She was, of course, referring to the upcoming Ahsoka series, The Acolyte, which we'll get into in a moment, and the upcoming movie about Rey set 15 years after the events of The Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, I'm gonna address the elephant in the room. This perpetuates such insane sexism, and like, I know this is gonna be such a like a pick-me thing to say, but if there were more men before and the movies were good and popular, why is it when there's a lot of women in charge it sucks? I'm not saying like all women bad, but like, why do you perpetuate this cycle, man? I just want, like, good content. Like, I liked Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. I'm not a fanatic. I get stuff wrong. I don't know what I'm talking about a little bit. Like, I'm not, like, a, you know, an expert. I was more into fantasy. I was more like a Narnia, Lord of the Rings, like, World of Warcraft kind of guy. Or girl, rather. But, like, what the fuck, man? Guy, can't. Yeah, you got me. You can like something, a big fanatic about it. Well, like, the point is, it's like, you're just giving the far extreme of saying all women bad the fuel to justify this. Like, oh, women are involved now it sucks. It makes me upset because it's like, I think there's so many women who are really good at writing or like doing certain things. It's like, why do we do this, man? You're just like making it worse for everyone else because you want clout, essentially. Because all these women want clout. They got in, they sat in their executive box, and now they're just yapping and want more women in there because they want other women to have this position of power as well. Same thing happened to Blizzard. A lot of the female team is female. So instead of War and Warcraft, we see how much depression and emo the characters are nowadays. I don't think there's anything wrong with, like, feelings in World of Warcraft. I know this is going to be, like, a deviation, but I don't think there's anything wrong with showing feelings, but Star Wars, World of Warcraft, like, where's the war? Where's the sweaty men fighting each other and beating each other up? It feels like the women clawed their way up to leadership positions and kind of gave up. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
A film that is also just directed by another woman called, I'm not even going to try. This is Sharmeen Obaid Chinoy. I don't know, just put me on the ground. A woman who came under fire earlier this year for saying, "We're in 2024. It's about time we have a woman shape a story in the galaxy far, far away." We already have. For the last number of years. That's why your franchise is dying. The blowback she received for her comment was nothing compared to the hate storm brewing over The Acolyte. Probably one of the worst creations the Star Wars universe has ever made. The Acolyte was doomed to fail from the outset for a multitude of reasons. From the cast joking about it being the gayest creation in the history of Star Wars.
I want to
Yeah, I mean,
ask you both because this is, I would say, arguably the gayest Star Wars, I think, by a considerable margin. And
okay,
are you excited about that? Are you
Not
bracing
the gayest
yourself?
Star Wars. Not the
It's pretty gay. Let's be honest. Leslie, are you? How do you feel?
Am I gay?
Are you,
Yes.
Well, no, I know you are gay, but I'm asking, are you excited about putting this? You know, this is going to be.
This is so awkward. I can't stand this shit, man.
A talking
I'm sorry.
point.
Is it going to be a talking point?
I'm sure some.
Because nerds are gay.
Well,
Yeah.
well, some nerds are very not gay and are very threatened by gay
Well, that's
stuff.
true.
You flip those words around, it's gonna start to sound really homophobic, man.
But in my world, nerds are gay.
To the showrunner, Leslie Headland, and the lead actress, Amanda Stenberg, attacking audiences for not enjoying the lesbian magic witch coven they were given in episode 3. That's not a joke. These people are genuinely making me a grandpa. The angry sort that hates everyone. Leslie Headland
Woman stares at
definitely
cloud,
set out
gets
to
mad.
create something gay or queer orientated. Ugh. And the rest of the Star Wars team was obvious.
And another thing, like, why does it matter? This goes back to what we were talking about. Why does it matter if a character's gay? Like, why? Why does it matter? Why do they have to be like, oh my god, they're so gay and stuff? It's like, it doesn't. Why can't you just have Star Wars where there's cool fights and good character development? Good OSTs, good, there was a scene where they had like a fire in outer space. Like, why is this even a thing, man? A well-written, relatable character. A good message. A wholesome message. Yeah, write a good story, like Fire in a Stone Fortress. I thought it was like something about fire in outer space, which is like physically impossible.
More than happy to oblige, even casting a non-binary gay actress as the lead in The Acolyte. And when the ridicule and disdain for this show got to be too much, Kathleen Kennedy herself stepped in and tried to run some interference. And she of course failed, because everyone hates her too. She said that the reason for the hate was the result of the male-dominated fandom.
Chat, I guess I'm a male. Chat, I actually watched like one episode. Like half-heartedly, half asleep. Yeah. I just don't know. I guess any woman that dislikes this is a man. She said it.
In an interview, she said, operating within these giant franchises now, with social media and the level of expectation, it's terrifying. I think Leslie has struggled a little bit with it. I think a lot of the women who step into Star Wars struggle with it a bit more. Because of the fan base being so male-dominated, they sometimes get attacked in ways that can be quite personal. Yeah, it's definitely not the absolute horse poopies that you guys keep vomiting out. The fandom is obviously the problem. The thing that's—
And alienating your audience that has been watching your shit since you've been, like Star Wars, when did they first one come out? 1984 or 1970s? First Star Wars movie release. 1977, sorry. 1977. making these movies for almost 50 years or 60 years. Like, of course you're gonna be alienating some of your audience and then saying, oh, well, if you don't like it, then you're just a bigot, bitch.
Seems to be so lost in all of this is that none of this was ever necessary to make Star Wars an ongoing, amazing franchise. And not all of the newer characters have been universally hated, like Gina Carano as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, for example. But obviously,
oh yeah, I remember there was some drama around her, I forget.
Carano was fired for having some no-no opinions because she wasn't screaming from the rooftops about feminism and diversity. And she wasn't non-binary enough. It's a problem. So what we are left with is a team of women forcing corporate propaganda on audiences who simply don't want it, and then abusing those audiences for holding that position. The tragedy is that, as with most entertainment in this day and age, Star Wars creatives seem to place more emphasis on skin color and sex over creating meaningful storylines with well-rounded, well-written characters.
Yep,
even when
like
working on The Force
Awakens,
in interviews, creators are clear that they essentially chose a female lead because they believed there hadn't previously been one. Okay, who's Princess Leia then, friends? These creators, bizarrely, in their own words, end up describing Rey as this Mary Sue character that she ultimately turned out to be. And they weirdly are like so gleeful about this. It's very confusing. And I
always thought the dynamic between him and her was really weird because he's always just permanently amazed at everything she does. And she does everything for him when he's trying to do something and then he fails at it and she just instantly does it better. I always thought that was so condescending. He was basically simping for her. Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's just weird. And again, nothing against the actor. I thought his acting was good. It's just like, that's what the writing demanded of him.
This indicates to me, at least, is that these creatives are not secure in their own writing capabilities. And they don't seem to believe that women can relate to male characters in the franchise, like Luke Skywalker, Anakin, or Yoda. So instead of giving us the opportunity to like a character on our own, regardless of their sex, they instead decided to insert Rey or Ahsoka or Osha to make everything more female-friendly and inviting. But the reality is that it kind of already was. What
about females that want to see hot men on screen? Or powerful men? I remember when my mom and dad went to see Star Wars with my brother, and my mom was like, oh my gosh, Harrison Ford is so handsome, and he kind of looks like you, Dad. My dad looks like kind of like a Russian Harrison Ford in the right way. The same kind of hair, like a fucking poofy like hair, and I was like, Mom, Dad, you guys are so lame, right? She's like, oh my gosh, you're so cute. But anyway, my mom liked Harrison Ford. Why can't you fucking make characters that are for females, but it's like hot men and hot women, or attractive women, or women that have good character? Like, what?
Saddest things to me personally, and I've referenced this and said this in other videos, is that well-written, really well-written female characters are honestly so fun to watch. So often, we are instead given women whose characteristics are entirely built around being better than their male counterparts, who are made artificially weak.
That's a really good point. Always shitting on men and saying, oh, men are so fucking stupid, I can do it better. I always thought that was such a condescending thing to do. If you, like, even from a partner objective, like, if you think, like, down to the nitty-gritty, you are watching a movie because you're attracted to a character, you're imagining being in a relationship, why would you want to see a character shit on the man and putting them down? Is that how you look at your partner that way? Like, is that how you see the opposite sex or your partner in that way? It's ironically how they look at their partners. That's really sad. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe I'm a passenger princess or whatever, but I don't want to. I feel like I don't want to treat someone that way if I was in a relationship, bro. That's so mean. There's so much divorce. I don't think that's that. I think it's more so that like people are like wanting to have partners that they can just shit on all the time.
Less intelligent, less useful, and sometimes even stupid. Creating and adding female characters today almost seems to be done for the sake of it, and them being included.
Oh, I wanted to add another thing. Harrison Ford is a little bit of a himbo, and nobody really says anything because he's still cool and charismatic. You can be a bit of a dum-dum, like, man, which is fine. But like Kirsty says, she wants a himbo, right? She wants a partner that's like a himbo, but still be like good at something, right? Like you can be good at like a number of things. There's nothing wrong with being a dum-dum. I think I'm a dum-dum. Doesn't mean I do every single thing wrong and I need to be put down by another person.
At all shouldn't come at the cost of every male character around them.
Yeah, or like
just
Kronk.
like it also shouldn't come at the cost of giving these women actually meaningful character arcs and character development and flaws and struggles and a relatable personality, which they are almost always lacking. The women working on Star Wars today are a symptom of an ongoing cultural obsession to rectify perceived past gender biases in entertainment, when there were apparently too many men and too many white men. In this attempt to make Star Wars less problematic.
Too many men in a movie about fighter pilots. What? Oh my god. A job where there's mostly men in it. What if we do a movie about nurses? You'd probably just get nothing but females. Even men sent for Top Gun? Oh yeah, for sure! I remember my brother sent for this movie. He said he wanted to get a pilot license and my mom said no. When he was a little kid! She's like, no, that's stupid and expensive. We don't have money for a fucking airplane. What the fuck? Why did your mom say no? Bro, it's ridiculous. No.
For modern audiences by introducing new characters that align with modern sensibilities or forcing storylines laden with overt left-wing political messaging, we are ultimately left with entertainment that is, at the core, unsatisfactory pandering. The fact is, there is nothing wrong with Star Wars being, originally and forevermore, a franchise that is just more appealing to men. That doesn't mean that it can't and doesn't have crossover appeal with women.
No.
The unnecessary...
No, you can't have a hunky man that men want to look up to, that have like big muscles, but also have women attracted to it. Heterosexual women. No, you're not allowed to have that. You need to have women in it. Like, I always thought Padme and Leia were attractive. It's just like, my interest as a heterosexual woman, I guess, was more lenient to like men. Like, what? Why is that wrong?
Gender-targeted iterations we are seeing right now will simply leave everyone unhappy while pissing off the original fan base. Something I also wanted to add here, but I didn't know where to put it, so I'm putting
Liam
it
Neeson
here,
was so
is that
cute,
George
man.
Lucas actually addressed some of these corporate feminist criticisms recently at the 2024 Cannes Film Festival.
Oh my god, he looks so old. Good golly, man.
Made mention that people have accused his films of having no female characters. He responds, "Who do you think the hero is?"
Later on, when they were making more movies, they said, "There's no women in the movies." I said, "Who do you think the heroes are in those films? What do you think Princess Leia was?"
She took the guns and started shooting people and was like a hero. Like, what are we doing? Yeah, who's Padme? Bull. Poor George is 80. Oh, I thought he was younger than that. I don't know why.
She is the head of the rebellion. She's the one that's taking this young kid that doesn't know anything and this boisterous, I know everything guy who can't do anything and trying to...
That's what I'm talking about! The himbo! Harrison Ford, the himbo!
Save the rebellion with these clowns. I said, she's the hero of the movie.
He also mentions Queen Amidala and goes on to say that you can't just put a woman in pants and expect her to be a hero.
Yep.
It's about her brain and her ability to plan and think and be logistical.
And they develop.
No, you can't say that. All women can be logical and they can put aside their emotions. Yep. Even though they literally can't, it's really hard. Part of the reason why it sucks being a woman is emotions! I'm not some fucking cold, autistic male that can stop thinking about my feelings instantly. I have to think about it, man.
There's no women, I said, you can't just put a woman in pants and expect her to be a hero. They can wear dresses, they can wear whatever they want. It's their brains and their ability to think and do and plan and be logistical, and that's what the hero is.
So
Yep, exactly, dude. It's so sad, and they shit all over his legacy. I do feel bad for him. He's literally watching his entire legacy become like destroyed. Have you seen the clip? Shit, asking for a gay James Bond at the Venice Film Festival. The current actor Daniel Craig should have done right away. If that's true, bro. No, like, is that real? It's true. Oh my god, man. Dude, James Bond! The books that they wrote, so James Bond was books first, right? And then they made it into a movie, right? In the books, he's a womanizer. That's the whole point. He loves women. No, we need to make him gay-G. He loves women. There's literally whole shticks in the movies where he's like oogling women and gets kind of distracted. It's like, that's the whole joke. He protects them. He actually hates women in the books. I'm gonna have to read into that. I don't know about that. But in the movies, he definitely doesn't. Loves women.
Question arises. Why are these women destroying this franchise? As I've mentioned previously, over and over and over again, like a broken record, part of the problem here is that these people never create anything original. Instead of creating something that's new and fresh that they'd like to see, they instead shoehorn their way into that which already exists. Like we've seen with all this race swapping, for example. Why create a black superhero when you can just make Superman black? It's unoriginal and it's lazy.
Yeah, why? Why can't you just have a cool character? Why are we race swapping? I don't understand that at all. At all.
And I think it's partially rooted in the fact that these creatives know deep down that their original ideas just won't be successful with audiences, because they can't create anything that's actually worth watching. So they end up piggybacking on existing good ideas and hope that the shoehorning works, and are baffled when their changes fail to resonate. Secondly, it's worth mentioning
because it's disingenuous, it's not real.
That whenever creative directors or creative people in general come in and take over a media property and immediately inject virtue signaling and insufferable political messaging, it seems to be partially based in resentment. Because how can that radical of a change come from a good place from the outset? It cannot. It's not possible for these individuals to have genuinely loved or cared about a media property and its legacy if they are hell-bent on changing it. Because if
Yep, you have to change it to suit my tastes, even though I love these actors who are like, I loved Star Wars, but like, we should also change it. It's like, well, then you didn't like it then, huh? If you want to change, like, it's okay to add a little bit of salt and pepper, like a little bit of extra salt and pepper into a dish, right? If you completely change like ingredients in the dish, isn't that kind of fucking like not the same dish? Isn't that kind of how it is? Oh, pepper.
they were truly a fan, or even if they just had a basic respect for it, they wouldn't try to reshape it to fit their own worldview. These individuals are familiar with the material, but they don't have a deep appreciation or love for it. In my opinion, that's likely why these people are so comfortable doing this. It's because they don't care about the original material.
There's a reason why fairy tales from like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and even thousands of years ago have the same tropes and the same themes, man. Because they fucking work. It's been... when did Hans Christian Andersen write the books? Hans Christian Andersen. When was he alive? 1875, 1805. Okay, let's just say 200 years have passed and people still talk about his fairy tales. They still make adaptations. They still make Disney movies. The Little Mermaid, The Ugly Duckling, Thumbelina, The Princess and the Pea. Like, it just works because it's good writing. If you're going to make, you have to follow a semblance of a rule. You can break traditions to some degree, but people are not going to be accepting of bad writing, just period. Writing is a technique. Writing is human nature, describing characters, heroism, character development. Everybody loves to see someone improve as a human being. Nobody likes to see someone who's just really good at everything. You ever get into have you ever been in a class where some kid just aces it every time and then brags about it? Nobody likes that kid, but they also don't know about how much they studied. That's what the equivalent of what these Mary Sues are doing. They're not showing how hard they work. They just showed how great they are. Because it's a fantasy setting. It's a show.
They might acknowledge it, but they're not fans. And if you don't believe me, the New York Times ran a piece in May 2024 about Leslie Headland and The Acolyte. It noted that Headland added a Ghanaian-American writer, Jocelyn Bio, I hope that's right, what an unfortunate last name, to the writing team precisely because she wasn't a Star Wars devotee.
You hire a lawyer to come into your restaurant. And then you expect them to be like a fucking 5-star Michelin chef or a 3-star Michelin chef, sorry. Like, what the fuck, man? What are we doing here? This is what I mean. You're making women look bad. Why are you here if you don't like Star Wars? Like, even to some degree. A good creating a diverse characters. Jon Stewart, the Black Green Lantern. This is why, according to the writers, they had the decision to make the character African American, resulted from a conversation between Adams editor Julie Schwartz. Adams recounts saying that given the racial makeup of the world's population, we ought to have a Black Green Lantern, not because we're liberals, but because it just makes sense. He was a great character. Like, was he not? I remember watching the Justice League, the cartoon on Cartoon Network, and I thought he was a cool character. Yeah. Because it was well written. I didn't care about what race he was. I was a child.
In an interview, Bio said, Leslie asked me what I knew about Star Wars, and my answer was, Harrison Ford runs around space with a giant dog, and Leslie said, you're hired. This is basically a running theme here. I'm sure all of you have noticed. It seems at least some of the
not so fun fact, Leslie Headland was Jeffrey Epstein's personal assistant. No. Shut up. No. Leslie Headland, Jeffrey Epstein's assistant. What? What? Is this real? Weinstein. Oh, Weinstein, not Epstein. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it wasn't Jeffrey Epstein. It was Weinstein, that horrible, horrible executive. Yeah, Harvey Weinstein. He's still a scumbag piece of shit, but yeah. Yeah, they're both scumbags. I was like, no, what? That makes sense, though. That makes sense.
Time, as demonstrated by this little excerpt, some of these people come across these roles for absolutely no good or meaningful reason. Kathleen Kennedy is honestly a perfect example of this. She has no history with Star Wars, and her appointment appears to be driven by personal ambition rather than a genuine love.
This is what I absolutely hate. They shove people into roles that that just don't make sense. It's the same thing. I know this for a fact, but when Blizzard was shuffling around their game devs, they put Hearthstone game developers into making Overwatch at one point. And I was like, how are they supposed to make a good game? Like, I understand they make a good game and they help make a good game, but they're two different genres. How are you supposed to do that? It's like... It's like asking a horror writer to write a romance novel. It's like they can do it, but they don't really know what they're doing, if that makes sense. Like they're not used to it, or they have to relearn, and it's like it just doesn't make sense. It's too jarring.
For the franchise, it feels like she's making decisions based on her own preferences, with a team that lacks the passion for preserving the original spirit of the series. Lastly, and I think this is one of the most important things to note, there is a recurring trend with these female creatives. They can't relate to characters that aren't like them, and they don't think that anyone else can either. Because with these women, their creativity starts and stops at the mirror. If they can't see a direct parallel reflection of themselves in a piece of media, they don't understand how they could possibly ever like it or relate.
That's a sign of low IQ. Not being able to relate to characters that don't look and think like you is a sign of low IQ. It's just how it is. It's like empathy as well. It's like an empathetical disconnect. Yeah. You are an egotistical, like, you have no IQ. You have no emotional IQ, let alone that. Yeah, it's so strange. It's like they're outing themselves. Lack of imagination? Yeah, dude, it's crazy. What is going on?
To it. Given that they've wormed their way into these roles and have assumed creative direction, they eliminate—
Dude, this scene always made me fucking cry, man.
Things like they don't like or understand. And the things they don't understand are basically anything that's not like them, which was all of it before they got involved. So again, they're not fans, they don't care about Star Wars, they don't see themselves in its original vision, so their objective is to reinvent it, to revise it, so that it finally makes sense to them. That's just the theme here that we see over and over and over and over and over again. The last thing that I just want to add here is that I don't want videos like this to turn into a woman bashing session, because I am certain, and in fact I know, that there are plenty of women who do work in the creative fields who do bring really great contributions and who aren't like this. And the thing is, I don't want their contributions lumped in with these smashed assholes. I also—
Yeah, exactly. That's why I always hate it when people are like, oh, Alana's such a fucking pick-me. It's like, no, it's a visible problem. I love it when women succeed. If you're a good woman, like, good for you, man. Like, you don't have to be some sort of submissive housewife. Like, you can be a girl boss and still be kind to everyone around you, no matter what gender or whatever. Race, creed, like, fucking nationality. It doesn't fucking matter to me. It's just so fucking sad, man.
Focused a lot on female characters in this video because that seems to be who the women in charge of Star Wars are the most focused on. I think that there's also some very questionable male characters that I could have gotten into, but again, the ones that these ladies referenced over and over were the female characters. So sorry they were on the chopping block. There's nothing wrong with female characters at all if they are well fleshed out and well created and not terrible, weird feminist nonsense people. Finally, there's actually nothing wrong at all with setting out to tell a specific kind of story. But jamming corporate feminism into absolutely everything at absolutely every opportunity is never going to satisfy or impress audiences, regardless if those who are viewing are male or female. And in the end, political messaging like this, that these women, that these creatives, that these people are so obsessed with, is never going to outdo good and meaningful storytelling. Now,
and storytelling sometimes is not catered to just women or just men. Sometimes you need both, man. Or, yeah, Ellen Ripley's a really good example. Wait, did we actually get ads? Oh my god! Mods, why did you tell me we had ads? Oh my god. They're already over. I fucking didn't notice. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. If you missed anything, I'm so sorry. I legit, I just yap and like watch the video sometimes. I was making dinner. It's okay. Oh my god. Yeah. No worries, man. I'm really sorry. It won't happen again.
Before I open the floor to all of you, this is just a reminder to check out MyHeritage using the link in the description or scanning the QR code on screen. I promise you, you should definitely take advantage of their 14-day free trial. It's very cool. You'll find out a lot of really interesting stuff about your history, and I encourage most people to know where they come from. Also, don't forget to click the link in the description or go to LionsTexchange.com, my little company, to take advantage of this birthday celebration thing that I have going on. Use code THEWALL for 10% off store-wide. Now open the floor to all of you. What do you all think? Are you somebody who likes this current version of Star Wars and you like the shows and the films and what's going on at the company?
Not really. Same with most corporate. Same with most corporate overlord shows, yeah. The enshittification. Like, it happened to Star Wars. It happened to Game of Thrones, man. It happened to so many shows, bro. The enshittification.
Are you somebody who hates it and you think it's terrible and you wish that they would just stop? Do you think that there's a need for more female characters and appealing to women as an audience? Do you think that it's not necessary at all and women can just get by with what's already on screen?
Oh yeah, Doctor Who had that too, right? Oh my god, this is the funniest thing. I remember reading about it. So apparently Doctor Who has been around since like the 70s, right? And it's always been a male doctor. And when they started putting in a female one after another, people got really upset because the ratings for the show started going down really badly, and you want to know why? Because all of the women were watching it for the men! They would fantasize about being with the men! Like, what the fuck? And then they got upset when people stopped watching because it was a female Doctor Who. Yeah, they would constantly thirst after that really famous one that came out in like 2000. I forget what it was called. What's the actor's called? David Tennant. That was it. Yes, David Tennant. Yeah, and then the one after that, and then one after that were both women, and people were like, "What the hell? I don't want to watch this. I want a hot man."
What do you make of the women at the top of this company? At the women who are working on these projects? Are they in the right? Are they in the wrong? Are they good? Are they bad? What do you think of corporate feminism as a general idea that is infiltrating the media industry and the entertainment industry? Is that good? Is that bad? And what do you generally make of this issue overall? As always, if you have made it this far in the video, congratulations. I always like having you guys along for the full ride. If you are new here and you would like to see more of me and more of this sort of content, content, feel free to subscribe to the channel, as well as leaving this video a like and a comment, because I do read the majority of them and I really like reading your feedback. Of course, if you have any video ideas or suggestions, feel free to let me know, because I have a running list of all of those. But in the interim, I will see you wonderful, pretty people in the next video.
Like and subscribe, chat. Like and subscribe. I love that. I love yapping. Chat, do you love yapping? I love yapping. Check them out right now. Do it. Yeah, that was a good one.